What I've got to share with you today is a current client project that I'm working on. And what's interesting about this one is that the client has said to me they want to make it work as a single story bungalow because that's all they need from it. But then, importantly, when they go to sell, they want to sell it with the opportunity for the new buyers to do the loft conversion because that will add value to the property without them actually having to do the work themselves. So the challenge for me is to come up with a design that works for now, but also works for later. So I love a challenge. So in this particular video, I'm going to show you the 4 solutions that I'm taking to the client. Now, it's important to note that the way that I work is I like to take a number of solutions to the client at the beginning. I never just like to take 1 or even 2. And the way I think about it is that these drawings are stimulus. They're going to help the client understand what they want, what they don't want. So I see it as my job at this point is to just kind of test, show them different ideas, do things that are more ambitious, do things that are more restrained. So I just like to take these drawings to them, not as final solutions, but more as conversation starters. And then we will build the final concept together. So with that in mind, they're roughly, I'd say, 80% resolved. They're not perfect because there's no point in being perfect with these designs. The idea is to have that conversation. So if you're a bit of a floor plan geek like me, you might appreciate watching my process and watching the different designs that I've come up with. So first of all, let's look at the existing property. So just a quick look at the exterior elevations. You'll see here from the front, this is the main building here, the original building. So it's kind of pleasing in that it's quite a classic construction with a pitched roof. This side element has been added on. This is a garage, and then they've extended the roof as such. So it's not a building of great architectural significance. However, it's pleasant enough. At the back, this big pitched roof continues across. This is a post here, so there's a slightly indented section here and some patio doors going onto the garden. So let's take a look at the existing floor plan. So you can see here that this is the main body of the house that continues like this. There's a kind of area here where it's sort of set back, which is slightly awkward. This is the garage area that's been added on. It is a garage at the moment, hasn't been converted. And then this extra space has been added. It's currently being used as a living room. There's an L-shaped sofa in this corner here, a fireplace and TV with a view to there, and then patio doors onto the garden. You enter into the property around the side, which is quite common with these kind of bungalows, but it does give you quite a tight entrance into the property. This is currently set up as a small bedroom. This is the master main bedroom at the moment with the bay window to the front. This bathroom here has already been renovated and updated. So that's fixed and they've done a very nice job with that. This bathroom here, which is a sort of central windowless bathroom, it would have had a window originally before they added on this element. It's just being used as a storage space. So that's not a functioning bathroom. So that's kind of an opportunity. Now we've got this kitchen, which once again hasn't been touched. So there's an opportunity here. This is currently laid out as the dining space. They've got quite a large table, so we took the dimensions of that so we can plan it in specifically. So, and then there's French doors or sliding patio doors out here. So the client was kind of thinking that he was thinking maybe utility room in here. He was thinking of kind of kitchen in this kind of area, dining, and then living room over here. However, obviously this doesn't give us a very good amount of space for a living room here. And then we also have to think about where do the stairs go, because obviously the stairs need to come up into the loft space where there's sufficient head height. So we need to think about this central line, which is where we've got the most head height. So the clients originally were saying possibly a little bit of an extension, but then on reflection, they've said maybe we could go out as much as 2 meters at the back. So they want to explore really pushing the property out. So that's something that we can look into. They definitely want a master bedroom and ideally an ensuite downstairs. They want a large kitchen with an island, a utility room, dining space for this existing table, and then they want the separate living space with crittle doors to separate it from the dining and the kitchen area. So you can see there's quite a lot to squeeze into this initial floor plan, and it depends, how far we need to go out and how much we should go out, because this is a project where they're going to want to resell the property. And as I said before, they want to make sure that they can resell the property with the loft plans in place. So the stairs and what we do with the stair area in phase 1 and phase 2 needs to be carefully considered. So let's take a look at concept A, which is the first possibility for the space. So what we've done with this one is we've actually gone out that extra maximum 2 meters from the back. So we've added on the maximum amount to see how the property can work with that. We've kept the entranceway at the side. These bedrooms stay the same. We've got a small bedroom and then the larger bedroom. And then we've created in the converted garage area the master suite. So we've got a really good sized master bedroom with, this would be a super king size bed, so plenty of space there for a nice bed with some wardrobes along here. And then we've got this nice ensuite, which makes use of an existing window to the exterior. And we've got a lovely big walk-in shower there and a nice big generous vanity area and a toilet as well. Now, what that does is it does create this long corridor here, and this will be the area where the stairs will eventually go. So in phase 1, this isn't ideal, but this is the thing with these properties. There will always be compromises, so this is just playing with this particular idea. We can make this better by having a focal point at the end of the hall, so a nice big piece of art or something could be lovely there. We could also look at mirroring these doors, or maybe having panels and mirrors, so that will just broaden that area out. So we can use those kind of visual tricks. And then we come around here. The family bathroom, they've already installed a nice pocket door. So with the utility room that I've put next, I'm echoing that. So this elevation here reads very nicely as one single elevation. I don't like mixing up different door styles in one elevation. So we've got the 2 pocket doors there, one going into the family bathroom and one going into the new utility room. And this does use one of the existing windows from the property. And then to make up really for this entranceway, which is a little bit tight, but it's the existing entranceway, we've got this lovely circulation space here. We've got some bookcases here, or that could also be additional storage. We've got the storage around the corner for coats, bags and shoes all along here. But you've got this lovely circulation space there, and then you can choose whether to enter into the very generous kitchen dining space, or whether you want to go through into the living space. So you've got matching glazed French doors. The client particularly likes the crittle style French doors, so you would choose from either of those. If we go into the kitchen space, you've got this big bank of units here where you've got a massive pantry, integrated fridge, integrated ovens. So that's all tall units along there. Then you've got this lovely run along here of your hob and your sink, and there's a window here. Now this is an existing window. I'd probably actually suggest that we increase the size of that if this is one of the designs that the client wants to progress with. So you've got a nice run along there because you've got this tall bank here, and then this super generous island in the middle. I've kind of curved the corners to just make it a little bit more flowy around it. Lots of seats. And then over on this side, I've put a kind of coffee zone, kind of bar area. It depends on the sort of thing you like, but this could be a really lovely bar or somewhere to have coffee, and those things that don't need to be in the main working triangle of the kitchen, because this is our main working triangle here. So that's over there, where this is a sort of separate part of the kitchen. This is where you put your wine fridge and things like that, coffee machine. And then you've got a lovely, nice big area for the dining table with a skylight over, with doors and side lights onto the garden. And then you've got another set of French doors here, which echo these. So when I think about designing these kinds of walls, I like to think about, what's it going to look like in elevation. So you've got this lovely symmetry of this elevation. You've got a pair of French doors either side and this lovely sort of setup in the middle. So you can come through here or here into this lovely big living room, where you've got a really generous big corner sofa, but importantly, you've also got chairs that complete the conversation zone. So you've not just got a sofa pointing at a television, which I don't particularly like. You've got this lovely big media wall here with a television, so you can chat, you can watch, and then you've got obviously the doors again out into the garden with the side lights. So actually a plan that works pretty well, I think. The big compromise for this one, I would say, is this slightly problematic long hallway here. But if we look at phase 2, which is where we would be converting the loft on this one, what you'll see here is that we place the stairs where the coat storage goes. So everything else stays the same, but you would have the stairs coming up. And then that creates a much wider zone there and opens it all up. So it's less problematic in the second phase. And importantly, it means that when it's time to pop in those stairs, we're not kind of destroying anything too important. It's just that storage underneath. So that's phase 2 that works really well, and everything else just stays as it is. So for concept A, this is a kind of sketch impression. So you just see that you've got this lovely big flat roofed extension that really just ties the rear elevation together. And you've got these sets of French doors with side lights, which just give it a very symmetrical and simple form. And I think, it works quite nicely to tie those different the different things that are going on with the roof behind it by just having this nice solid flat roofed extension. I always like to put a parapet on a flat roof extension with a little bit of trim across the top. It just means that you can hide all the guttering and everything. It's really nice if you can put the downpipes as well in the rear wall, so you've got those hidden. And it just means that instead of like a sort of a bog standard extension, you're just doing those little extra bits that just elevate it ever so slightly. So that is concept A. So with concept B, I really wanted to challenge the idea of the massive rear extension. Do we really need to extend that much? And so what I've done with this one is I have kept the line of the existing house on this side. The sun comes around this way, so this is going to be a very sunny corner, which is why I've extended on this side of the house. And I've just brought the extension out in this area. So you can see we're extending a lot less than in concept A. And what that does is it means that we can create this lovely piece of corner glazing here, which just wraps around the corner and makes this dining area super, super special because it's got this lovely view out. We've put the French doors in here at the back as well. So let's start at the entranceway again, which we come in at the same entrance, and we've still got the 3 bedrooms, pretty similar to option A. We've got a bedroom here, another bedroom, and then we've got the master bedroom here with the ensuite once again. But things are a little bit different this time. We've kept the family bathroom here because obviously that's already been done. And instead of going through and circulating further down the house, I've made the main circulation this hallway. So you can walk through here, and once again, you've got your coats, bags and shoes storage, tons of storage there. Or you can come this way and you can come through asymmetrical doors into the big living space. So I've created a different sort of feel in this room. We're looking a different way. I've converted these windows to full height windows and made them match size wise, so that creates a really lovely elevation on this side. You've got your media wall here in the middle, and then once again you've got lovely sets of French doors going through into the kitchen. So if you come through the kitchen this way, you've got a sliding pocket door here that can disappear into the wall. So you can close things off or you can open it up, and it feels very open and natural. And then I've put the utility room closer to the kitchen in this one. So it could almost be used as a kind of pantry as well. So that's the utility room. I've curved that corner ever so slightly, just like I've been curving the corners of the island, just to create that kind of sense of flow around. Once again, we've got a nice run of units along here. I've popped the fridge and the oven at this end this time. They'll be integrated so they'll feel more furniture-like. I've kept that idea of the coffee or bar area. I particularly like that. I think that will be a lovely elevation looking from either room. And then you've got your lovely big island again for extra prep space and sitting space. So some similarities, but much less in terms of how much we're adding on, and a different way of circulating around the spaces. So when it comes to phase 2 with this one, we're popping the stairs in this space again. And I think this time I've opened up the bottom of the stairs, so they kind of a little bit more free flowing, a little bit more open. And then the other thing I've done here is I've converted this bedroom into a den with some French doors. So what happens here then is this area then becomes really a lovely circulation zone, because you've got the openness of the stairs, you've got a view through and right through actually out that front window. And because if we're adding additional bedrooms on upstairs, you could then say, well, actually, we need an extra living room downstairs to balance out the number of bedrooms. So this bedroom here could become a lovely den. So, you know, I've got a television kind of area along here, or it could be a workspace, a little sofa and chair. So that might be a kid's playroom, but it's still quite nicely connected to the rest of the house. So that's phase 2 for concept B. And if we want to have a look with this one, so this is kind of how it would look. So we've kept this original face of the house here, and then we've just added on this extension, flat roofed again, with nice corner glazing. And I think it's simple. It's, you know, it looks very smart. It's certainly not, you know, making a huge design statement, but I think it does make a very handsome looking house. So that's 2 concepts down. What are we going to do with our third one? With concept C, what I really wanted to do was explore the entrance to the house, because it was kind of bugging me that we had this very small, quite cramped entrance on the side of the house. So what I've done with this one is I've really swapped things around, and I've said, let's convert the garage area into the new entrance, because then you're entering from the front of the property. So you'd step up here onto a covered porch area in the main door, which could be a lovely big forward-facing door. And then we've got a bench seat here with storage where you can sit and take off your shoes and store everything. You've got coat hooks all along here. So this is kind of like an open boot room kind of utility area. I've got big cupboards along here for storage, but also I've popped the washer and dryer in there. And obviously we could reconfigure that differently to make it a more of a private utility room. But I quite like the idea of walking into this area and having it quite open. And this could be beautifully designed with lovely cabinetry. And then this really nice big window where you've got light and a view out. So a completely different way of configuring that. And so you come along this hallway. I've changed the entrance into bedroom 2. So bedroom 2 feels really like a very significant, good-sized bedroom now. We can pop the wardrobes along this wall, which works really well. And then we've got a nice size here for a large bed. So that's bedroom 2 with the bay window entering in there. And then interestingly, what I like about this one, and then we've got the entrance into the master suite here. So I've put a dressing area here. So that's the wardrobe area there, mirroring this entire wall. So that's going to make that look a lot wider there, but also it's going to give this lovely dressing area. Obviously, these would have actual cupboard doors on them because this is also a flow through. And then you come through this door into the master bedroom here, where you've got a lot of space in this part of the room for a really big super king bed. And you don't need to fit wardrobes into this room either, because I've gained some space from closing off the side access door. And then this existing ensuite, which is bathroom, which has already been done, becomes the ensuite. So the sliding pocket door comes there. So you've got this lovely big master suite happening downstairs. So that means that we needed another bedroom and another bathroom. So I've put the family bath over here using the existing window, and that is showing that you could either just have a shower if you want, or you could put a proper bath in with a shower over the bath, but a nice generous bathroom there, which serves this bedroom here and also this new bedroom which I have created further into the property. Got a little kind of indent there just to make that door a little bit more private. So this is bedroom 3, but I'm also calling it a flex space. I think this would be a very interesting room to use as a secondary den or a study. So I've put the door here, but I'm also thinking, you could, if you wanted to, put a door through more into the living space, which would create a nice flow through if you were going to use this room as maybe a playroom or something in the future. And then we come through and we've got this kind of interesting extra zone here for a coffee or bar. And then we've got a half wall here, which kind of just like keeps this area a little bit protected, but that would be an area where I would be putting small appliances, but you wouldn't be able to see them because because of the half wall. And then we've got this lovely big walk-in pantry here. So I've got a sliding pocket door, big walk-in pantry, and then we've got the main body of the kitchen along here with a nice big window going out. Now there's not going to be much of a view there, but you can always plant some nice hedging or something, and or you can have opaque glazing, so it doesn't matter. It's just a matter of some natural light is very nice. And then you've got a big bank here of integrated appliances. Now these would definitely be very furniture-like, because what I've done here is I've got rid of the island. Shock horror, no island. But what I have done is I've put the dining table, pride of place, right in the middle, and it gets lots of space to breathe. And you've got a really big kitchen here anyway. You've got plenty of space with lots of space in the pantry as well, and this extra space over here. So just a completely different layout of the kitchen. And then what I haven't done with this one is I haven't separated the living room off. I've wanted to keep this all one big space. So you'll see here we've got this massive space for living. We've got a big corner sofa, another sofa here, brilliant space for parties and entertaining. I've got a mobile TV here. Now I'm using these more and more. You can get these amazing TV stands and televisions that are on wheels. You can wheel them around, so you can have them right up to where you're sitting. You can even get ones where the TV flips around from a horizontal to vertical position, or you can wheel them over to the kitchen or into the bedroom. They're amazing, instead of having a fixed TV space. And then once again, we've got the doors out the back, just very similar to concept A really, but we've got these lovely big glazed sections, one relating to the relaxation zone and another one relating to the dining zone. So a completely different way of configuring the house for concept C, which might have you asking, yes, but what happens when they want to do the loft? Because we've got this dressing room here. So let's take a look at phase 2. So what's important with phase 2 is that this bedroom, which was the master suite, now has to become the guest bedroom or bedroom 3, because it retains the ensuite, but it loses the dressing room area. So we're replacing the dressing room with the stairs up to the loft. And up in the loft, there's a couple of options. One option is to have a master bedroom, dressing room, and lovely ensuite. And another option is to have two smaller rooms and a Jack and Jill bathroom shared. So with this one, it would have to be the master bedroom in the loft just to give you that really wonderful master suite. But I think that still works really well. And I really love the way that you walk into this one and then you're flowing naturally up the stairs here. I think that's a really nice transition there. And we could retain that mirror wall from the dressing room, and I think that would be kind of nice. So yeah, I think that works for phase 2 as well. I've shown on this one where this would become bedroom 4, so you could say that you don't really need a fourth bedroom, so much more likely that this would become a study room or a playroom or a den type space, or maybe just a private TV room. So that's what this one looks like as phase 2. Now, in terms of how this would look, this is just a very kind of rough visualization of what that might look when we start to change with the front door facing the street. And I think that works quite well because it just feels a little bit more natural, and we can make the front door feel a bit more important than it being tucked around the corner. Now, the house still looks quite traditional, and this is just a rough impression, and we can update it with different windows. But it just goes to show how looking at it in a completely different way, looking at how we configure the space in a completely different way, really, really changes how we approach the house and how the house can feel both inside and outside. And I was going to stop there because I thought, well, that's plenty for us to discuss when I meet up with the client. But I woke up one morning and I just had this nagging idea that I needed to explore what we could do with the house if we just kept things very, very, very simple, and if we kept spend low. So I wanted to explore that. So therefore, concept D was born. So what I've done with concept D is I have barely extended. So you'll see here I've kept the existing line of the house here, and I've kept the existing line of the house here, and all I've done is I've infilled that awkward corner. So I've resolved that awkward corner that we had in the initial floor plan. So this one, we go back to the side entrance. We're being very practical with this one and keeping costs low. We're keeping we've got our bedroom here, we've got another bedroom here, and we've got the master bedroom here. Now, what this one does not give you is it doesn't give you a master ensuite. So that's one of the things I'll want to challenge with the client. How important is the master ensuite? So that'll be a good conversation to have now that he can see what it will be like with one and without one. So the family bathroom's still here, which is great, and it will serve all 3 of these bedrooms. I've got, once again, I've used this kind of dead space, which we have to keep for the future stairs. I've used that for the coats, bags and shoes. But with this one, I've also put the utility in there because we haven't got space for a separate utility room in this particular layout. So this would be a utility cupboard. And there's lots of ways to make utility cupboards really, really practical and functional. So that would all be contained there. And then you walk through here, and I didn't want to take much space out of bedroom 2, so I've done this little curved access into the master bedroom there. So that's how I've resolved the front of the property. And then we're going through a set of glazed doors here. And for practicality and cost purposes, I've kept the kitchen in the same position as it is currently. And that is going to save on costs. And it's just a more practical solution that I wanted to show my client. So we've kept the kitchen there, and we've kept the initial windows. I've had to reduce that one a little bit, but that's neither here nor there. And we've got this kitchen island, not as big as the other islands, but I've put the seating on this kitchen island down the garden end, which is a quite nice sociable way to do some bar seating where you don't need the island to be quite so deep. And then you've got the sink looking out the window, which is nice. and you've got a hob which I've centered in the middle of this wall. So actually that elevation reads quite nicely because you've got the hob in the center, and then you've got the windows are nice and symmetrical. So we're considering all of those things. And then over here, we've got this lovely extra bit of space. Now you could create this as a library space, but what I've done is I've made it a big pantry space there. We've got the fridge over here and the ovens over here. So they're in the main bit of the kitchen. But then we've got the extra pantry there. And then this once again could be the coffee or bar area, depending on what you want to put in it. Maybe, you know, you want to put in a wine fridge and some nice open shelving. Maybe you could have the back of it mirrored. That's quite a nice thing I often do with the clients. And then we've got a lovely space here for the dining table to live. So a really nice sociable kitchen diner. Once again, I've put the corner glazing in, which I just think is so special. Probably have, you know, a few sets of opening doors here. I've got one there and maybe another one there. And then I haven't separated off the living area because it's not a very big living area. So this is one of the compromises. I've got an extra door into the living area there from this hallway here. And then I've just changed the orientation of the seating so that when you're sitting in this area, it doesn't feel quite as tight as it currently does, because he's currently got the sofa facing the other way. But if you've got the sofa facing this way, and then you could have your television there and another chair here, then you just feel like you're sort of like you're also enjoying the space of this room at the same time. So there's quite a nice flow, I think, between those spaces. So clearly, this doesn't give you as much functionality and as much space as the other designs, but I really think it's worth considering because it will be cheaper to build and simpler to build. So I like to throw these things into the mix just so we've got a lot of things to talk about. And then when it comes time to do the loft, this is where we place the stairs. Oops. We place the stairs back in this zone here, but we keep the washer and dryer that I'd already put in. We keep them in that spot because they'll be plumbed in, and then we've got the utility under the stairs. So I think that works quite well. So that is the phase 2 of that concept. And then this is just the drawing. I've created a kind of an extra face, even though we're not extending further out, just an extra face here just to tie everything together and to just make that look pleasing from the garden elevation point of view. So there's the 4 different concepts that I'm really looking forward to taking forward and having a great conversation with my client about. I'm always fascinated to see which ones get people excited, what elements we're going to combine to create the final concept that we'll take forward to planning and then construction. So if you're planning your own renovation and you're interested in layouts and different possibilities, do subscribe because I've got a lot more of these projects that I'm planning to share.